What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of NCAA tournament action here on Saturday, March 22nd. We're going to break down every NCAA game tonight and a couple NIT games. We're going to look at bets on the side and over-under, and make sure you're checking that pinned comment throughout the day to see if there are any changes as injury news and player availability is confirmed. Yesterday, guys, went okay. We got off to a pretty great start there with Iowa State, minus 14.5. They come through with the absolute blowout win and cover in a game that was never really in doubt. We took St. Mary's, minus 4.5. They did not get off to a great start. They do eventually end up winning that game, but not by enough to get the job done for us. So an unfortunate loss there. We had Maryland minus 10.5, a blowout win there for the Terrapins. Guys, they looked very comfortable in that game and are looking like a very dangerous team in this tournament overall. We finished the day out with Troy plus 11.5. The first, I would say, like 17 minutes or so of the first half looked pretty playable, like this was going to be a close game. But then we saw Kentucky start to make some shots, and eventually the wheels started to come off a little bit there for the Trojans, and they end up getting kind of blown out. So a 2-2 day, not exactly what we were looking for. Let's see if we can find a winning day out there in this one, guys. Slam that like button. If we can get to 1,000 likes on this video, we're giving away a Stump the Spread hoodie to one random commenter. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Once we get to 50,000 subscribers, we're giving away another free hoodie. If you're a huge fan of what we're doing here every single day, sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Channel members get exclusive early access to all of my videos and get their names up on screen in every video, but more importantly, you get access to our monthly members-only giveaways. We'll be giving away a Stump the Spread hoodie to one random channel member in early April. If we can get up to 80 channel members, we will do 2 giveaways next month. We're at 61 members right now. Let's see if we can get that up to 80. Also, James Valentine, I need you to comment down below acknowledging that you won the hoodie from yesterday's video. All of our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and see the top confidence picks from our entire team of experienced cappers. Right now, our premium members are getting daily college basketball, NBA, NHL, and UFC picks, and Major League Baseball, our most profitable sport the last 3 years in a row, is right around the corner, only a few days away. At StumpTheSpread.com, you'll have access to exclusive free picks, free to use bet size calculators, and our premium top confidence picks, which might not always match exactly what you see here in the video. Also, guys, you need to get over there and sign up for our free email newsletter, which will get you free picks straight to your inbox every day and updates on our results. Just make sure to check your spam folder. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today or any other feedback you have for me, and I will personally respond. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day, guys. We've got the McNeese Cowboys taking on number 4 Purdue. McNeese, guys, despite being a 12 seed, got through their first round matchup there against Clemson thanks to an insane start to that game. McNeese jumped out to a huge lead and held on there, withstood the storm there from Clemson to eventually get that 2-point win. So well played there by the Cowboys, a team that had a very good season out in the Southland. There were a few like weirdly close games, and that one hiccup, they only lost one conference game. So pretty good stuff. They didn't exactly have the non-conference success that they would have hoped for, but overall, they're having a pretty good year. They've already won an NCAA tournament game, so I think they can feel pretty darn good about themselves. This team played really great against Clemson. Like I said there in the first half, outscoring Clemson 31-13 right out of the gate, so pretty bonker stuff. The second half, things got very hairy. We liked what we saw just in general. I mean, Brandon Murray going nuts for 21 points off the bench there for McNeese. And they won this game despite shooting only 50% from the free throw line and 4 of 19 there from 3. They did a great job on the boards. They did a decent job. I mean, an amazing job in the first half. The second half, maybe not so much, but it's not like Clemson shot the lights out or anything like that. So some solid defense being played there by the McNeese Cowboys, at least in the first half. Not exactly what they're known for, but their defense has taken a step forward this season. No doubt about that. Sitting, giving up around 64, 65 points per game. A drastic improvement from what we saw from them a year ago. They're obviously a top 100 offensive team, a decent rebounding team as well, which was shown by the rebounding advantage they had there in the opening round against Clemson. So, liking a lot what we saw from McNeese. Obviously, a 12 seed coming out and getting a win is a big deal. You usually see that happen, at least once per tournament, but very well played there by the McNeese Cowboys. So, we'll see what they can do here against Purdue, a team that got their opening round win a little bit sketchy. Not super sketchy. I mean, a 12-point win there against High Point, but in the 4 versus 13 matchup, those games aren't necessarily supposed to be super competitive, but they got the job done. This is a tournament. It's survive and advance. That's all these teams really care about. They're not trying to cover numbers out there, but Purdue, regardless, they get the win there. They had a very good season out there in the Big Ten. Didn't exactly finish things on a high note. They lost, 6 out of their last 9 games or something like that down the stretch, and getting bounced out of the conference tournament in something of a blowout against Michigan. But they bounce back, get a good win here to open things in the tournament. Now they get to play a 12 seed. So would they maybe a little bit overconfident? That's something to be maybe, I'm not going to say concerned about, but I am a little bit concerned about their lack of defense. They did dominate the boards, something that Purdue hasn't generally done this season, but dominating the boards against High Point and doing it against McNeese, at least somewhat different. We liked how Purdue shot the ball in this game, 33% from 3, 5 of 15 from long range. Not necessarily amazing, but definitely not terrible. The big guns showed up in a big way, guys. Trey Kaufman-Renn and Braden Smith are both absolute monsters, 21 and 20 points respectively. They didn't do too much damage from behind the arc. I mean, Smith knocked down a couple threes, and Kaufman-Renn not necessarily a three-point shooter, but overall this team played really, really well, had a double-digit score off the bench, and just in general, I like what we saw from Purdue. So two teams obviously playing well and advancing there through the first round. The Boilermakers over the course of the season, their real Achilles heel has been that rebounding, and will that come back to haunt them against McNeese? The Cowboys have been a pretty decent, but not elite rebounding team, so I don't think we have to be super worried about that in this particular instance. McNeese, guys, I was really disenchanted with what I saw from them in the second half. They did jump out to that big lead, so maybe they can do that again, but looking at the numbers here, Purdue, they are 6.5 point favorites. We've got a total of 143.5. They are McNeese 16 and 17 against the spread this season, 17, 15 and 1 to the under. Purdue 18 and 16 against the spread, 20 and 14 to the over. So in terms of the over-under for this game, it's pretty low, only 143.5. I would honestly lean towards the over in that one a little bit, maybe not super aggressively, but I do think the over is in play. In terms of a side, I'm going to be taking Purdue here. This is not a play that I have a ton of confidence in, not going in the pinned comment. We don't have all that many games to choose from today, so we got to keep everything in mind, but I do think this is a spot you want to be on Purdue. McNeese scared me a little bit in the opening round, but I don't think they have what it takes to slow down the two big guys there for Purdue. I think, Kaufman-Renn, Braden Smith are absolute monsters. They're going to find a way to put up a lot of offense in this game. Next up, we've got the 10 versus 2 matchup between the Arkansas Razorbacks and number 2 St. John's. Arkansas took care of business there against Kansas in the first round, winning that 10 versus 7 matchup. The Razorbacks 79-72 win. This is a team that had an incredible time out there in the SEC, going 8 and 10 in conference play. They got knocked out of their conference tournament in a very close game against Ole Miss and played well down the stretch, beating Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and South Carolina. So there's some good things to say about this game, this team for sure. And in that game against Kansas, they looked pretty good. Not gonna lie, guys, they looked pretty good. They didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but still come out with the win. It's nice to shoot 25% from 3 and still win the game. They knocked down a lot of free throws, guys. 17 of 20 there from the charity stripe. A big day there from the free throw line. Kept things basically even there on the boards. Okay, that makes sense. A big game from John L. Davis. A big game from Jonas Adu. This team putting up some good numbers, doing some good stuff, and making the SEC look even better. I was a little bit disenchanted with them at first, but now things are turning around for that conference in general. Loving what we're seeing there. So looking at, St. John's here, they got off to a pretty convincing start, blowing out Omaha in their, obviously it's the 2 versus 15 matchup. You're supposed to do that, but Pitino, guys, getting things done. An 83-53 win there for Rick Pitino and friends. I mean, we saw RJ Lewis Jr. has been a monster all season long. This St. John's team has dealt with some injuries over the course of the season, but that has not really slowed them down. They finished the year 8th in the nation rebounding, a top 60 or top 70 offensive team. They won their conference tournament out there in the Big East, and with an 18-2 conference record, they were clearly the big dogs out there. And in that win against Omaha, not a whole lot to nitpick. I mean, they jumped out to not a huge win the first half. They were only up by 5, but they dominated winning the second half 50-25. They did a great job there defensively, defending the three-point line. They did a good job on the boards. Although they gave up a few, they did have a small edge there on the glass. RJ Lewis Jr., 22 points from him. No major surprise there. This team just looking very, very good. No major contributions from the bench, but they shot almost 40% from 3 and did a good job on the boards like we were talking about. So I don't really have a lot of complaints here about St. John's, and neither do the odds makers. The Red Storm are 7.5 point favorites in this game. We've got a total here of 144.5. Arkansas 15, 18 and 1 against the spread this season, 18 and 16 to the under. St. John's 22, 11 and 2 against the spread this season, 20 and 15 to the under. With a total of 144.5, I have a little bit of a hard time taking the under, even though both teams are showing trends in that direction. But if you wanted to play a total play on this game, I would lean a bit towards the under, I guess. but I think this is a good spot to be on St. John's. The Red Stormers look like the far better team. Arkansas should be able to give them a better battle there than Omaha, but I think we end up seeing, a double-digit win here by St. John's. I think they win by like 10 to 12, something like that, easily covering this 7.5-point spread. Next up, we got the 5 versus 4 matchup between Michigan and Texas A&M. The Wolverines come into this game surviving a very popular game that was, looked at as a scare game, and it was definitely a scare, guys. They did end up getting the 68-65 win there against UC San Diego, but it was no walk in the park. Michigan almost gave that big lead that they had in the first half. They were up 41-27 in the first half, and then the wheels kind of came off a little bit. They didn't shoot the ball particularly well from the free throw line, only 11 of 20 from the charity stripe. They had a small edge on the board, so that's helpful. Nobody went off for a particularly massive game for the Wolverines, and yeah, guys, I don't know. I don't know how convincing that really was. I mean, they did get the win. Their defense looked okay. I'll say okay, not necessarily overwhelming or anything like that. Neither team shot the ball particularly well. Michigan definitely did shoot it better, but against a team like UC San Diego, a 12 seed, Michigan not coming out and showing to best advantage necessarily. The Wolverines didn't have the end of the season they would have liked exactly. I mean, they did win their last 3 games in a row, and winning the conference tournament is a pretty cool thing to do, but just nobody was that convinced by them. They beat Wisconsin by 6 in a game Wisconsin absolutely fell apart. They were very lucky to get that 1-point win there against Maryland, and they're really convincing win there was against Purdue. But before the conference tournament, guys, they lost 3 in a row, falling against Illinois by 20, against Maryland by 6, and against Michigan State by, 17 or something? So this squad, I just have some questions about it. I mean, Golden is a solid player. Obviously, bigs tend to do well in this kind of tournament environment. But yeah, 81st in the nation in points per game, 50th in rebounding, but not a great defensive team. So we're going to see what they do in this matchup. It might be, it definitely should be a tougher matchup here going against a 4 seed in the Texas A&M Aggies, who finished the year 23-10. They knocked off Yale. Not a blowout win, an 80-71 win, so they'll take it. Yeah, I don't know. A little bit concerning there. We'll see what goes on. I mean, Wade Taylor IV is a monster. He's had a good season overall. This team's an elite squad on the boards, which could be a little bit of a problem there for Michigan if they rebound the ball similarly to what they did in their opening round game against, what I wouldn't consider an elite rebounding team. But we'll see what happens here in their win against Yale. A tough team, guys, a pretty tough team. They jumped out to an 11-point lead at halftime, played things pretty even there in the second half. They didn't shoot the ball well at all. 24% from 3, not great. 12 of 21 from the free throw line, also not ideal. The rebounding numbers, though, were definitely in their favor. No major, big blowout offensive performances, except for Payne, guys, who went off for 25 points and 10 rebounds. A big day from him coming off the bench. So we'll see what goes on there, but I liked a lot of what we saw from Texas A&M in that game. Despite it being relatively close, I think Yale was a little bit of an underappreciated team coming into this one. So looking at the numbers for this game, Texas A&M only 2.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 141.5. Michigan 17-18 against the spread, 18-17 to the over. Texas A&M 17-13-3 against the spread, 19-14 to the under. This game feels a little bit tougher potentially, but guys, I'm going to be on Texas A&M here. I just don't trust Michigan. I know they're on a winning streak now, all that kind of stuff, but I just don't know. They just had a really hard time in their opening round game. It's just not a team that I've really been able to trust overall this season. So yeah, give me Texas A&M in this one. I think they find a way to win this game by at least 3. Next up, guys, we got a developing Cinderella story. We've got number 11 Drake taking on Texas Tech. Drake comes into this one, guys, fresh off that crazy win against Mizzou. The Drake Bulldogs had a great year out in the Missouri Valley. They played really well over the course of the season, end up comfortably winning there, and not super comfortably. I mean, I don't know. They did play 1 7-point game, so I guess pretty comfortably winning their conference tournament. Overall, guys, they did exactly what they wanted to do in that Mizzou game. They drug this game down, slowed it way down. We saw, 124 total points, something like that, and yeah, got exactly what they needed. Good and very efficient three-point shooting, 5 of 10 from 3. They did only make 12 out of their 24 free throws, which not a great look, but they did a great job on the boards, out-rebounding Missouri, and clearly frustrating the Tigers in that game. Mizzou shot only 33% from the field. They did make almost all their free throws, which is a big reason this game was even semi-competitive, but a dominant performance there from Drake, a team that we were on. So definitely a nice win to have there. You're taking a 6.5-point favorite or a 6.5-point underdog, and they win that game straight up by 10. So very, very nice there by Drake. The question is, do they have what it takes to like repeat that? I mean, their season long numbers are definitely not what you would expect to see, but when you look at their pace and stuff like that, it all immediately makes sense. And this has been a very good defensive team that has some elite level scoring talent on there. Absolutely no doubt about that. So we'll see what they can do here in a pretty tough matchup against Texas Tech. The Red Raiders taking care of business in their their matchup against UNCW. Getting a 10-point win, though, not the most convincing. Obviously, you're expected to do a little bit better than that in that sort of situation. In a 14 versus 3 matchup, the Seahawks played them pretty close. UNC Wilmington put in a good performance. It took Texas Tech, really pulling away a little bit late there. They were only up by 4 at halftime and end up winning by 10. Like, not a game that was, definitely a competitive game. Definitely a competitive game. Texas Tech only playing 7 dudes, which is a little bit concerning in a tournament environment. We'll see how that goes down the stretch. Kerwin Walton, really the reason they won this game. Bro went nuts. He made 8 out of his 19 threes. Crazy. All of his shots were threes. He made 8 out of 19 of them. 27 points. That's how you do it, guys. No problem there. 4 out of their 5 starters scored in double figures. They only shot 28% from 3. And this is a team that shoots a ton of threes. They were 13 of 46 from long range. Only 65% from the free throw line, though. Not a great look there. And they actually got slightly out-rebounded. So this could be a little bit tougher. They're going up against a Drake team that doesn't mess around. We see Texas Tech as 7-point favorites in this game. We've got a total here of 127. Drake 18 and 14 against the spread, 20 and 12 to the under. Texas Tech 17 and 17 against the spread, 19, 14 and 1 to the over. This is a real clash of styles, guys, but so was round 1. I don't think Texas Tech is going to be taking anything for granted here after surviving a little bit of scare against UNC Wilmington, but was that really, did Texas Tech play poorly, or is this just kind of what they are? So this is a tough one, guys. I think you can find some 7.5s out there maybe. I'm going to be siding slightly towards Drake, but this is a game I have more research to do on just to see where we're at. But really, guys, this is a tough spot. I kind of think Drake might be live in this game. Next on the docket, guys, we've got a very interesting game, one I'm very excited to watch. We've got number 9 Creighton taking on number 1 Auburn. The Creighton Blue Jays made Louisville and kind of the ACC, except for Duke, look a little bit silly out there, taking down Louisville 89-75 there. Establishing themselves in this tournament after getting bounced out of their conference tournament in kind of embarrassing fashion, getting manhandled there by St. John. So in that win against Louisville, there are a lot of things to look at here for Creighton. They played great. We saw Kalkenbrenner guys play pretty well, but not necessarily amazing. He only had 14 points, but Neal put up 29. Ashworth put up 22. As a team, Creighton shot 45, almost 46% from 3, which is very, very wild stuff. Just as a team, they played great. 4 double-digit scorers there in the starting lineup. The rebounding battle went their way as well. They out-rebounded Louisville there by 5. They did shoot way more free throws. They shot 21, Louisville shot 8, so that's a little bit concerning of a trend there. But overall, guys, a great game from Creighton, a team that's been pretty good all season long. I mean, 15-5 in conference play in the Big East doesn't look terrible. 25-10 on the season doesn't look bad either. Kalkenbrenner, obviously an absolute monster. This team can crash the boards. They play some pretty good defense. They do have an insane home court advantage. Obviously, that doesn't come into play here in the tournament, and we're going to see what they can do here against an insane opponent, because now, guys, being an 8-9 seed is pretty rough, because you're going to pretty quickly have to play that number 1 seed if you can advance, and they got to take on the number 1 Auburn Tigers, who handled business there against Alabama State, winning that game 83-63, so not any sort of crazy dismantling blowout there, but they do get the win. Not the cover, but they came out on top of the SEC, a 15-3 conference record, but losing to Tennessee there in the conference tournament, maybe not the best look, although it was a very competitive game. They floundered at the end of the season, losing 3 out of their last 4. They finished the year 10th in the nation on offense, though, and 89th in rebounding, a very good defensive team as well, and they've got one of the best talents in the sport right now in Johnny Broome. So we'll see what they do in this one. I mean, against Alabama State, you can't take too much from these statistics, because it was obviously a game they felt very, very comfortable in the fact they were just going to win, and they weren't really going to try and pour it on pretty clearly. We saw Kelly put up 23 points. As a team, they shot 31% from 3, so nothing wrong with that. Johnny Broome, not his best game, but only played 27 minutes and had 14 points. So I feel like they were kind of saving him. And Kelly, guys, 15 3-point attempts, made 7 of them. So not a bad night for him, but we'll see if they can repeat this against clearly a much, much better team here. And the odds makers have have Auburn as 9-point favorites. Creighton 9-point underdogs. We got a total of 150.5. Creighton 20-13-2 against the spread this season, 18-17 to the under. Auburn 17-16-1 against the spread, 20-14 to the over. In terms of the over-under here, guys, I'm going to lean towards the over. I think we're going to see a good amount of offense in this game, no doubt there. Will it be enough to get over 150? That's not a huge number, to be honest. So I think the over very much in play here, and I also think you might want to be on those Creighton Blue Jays getting the points. Now, I'm not sure if this is going in the pinned comment, but it's definitely got a chance. This would be obviously a huge upset if Creighton was to win this thing straight up, but while I think that might be slightly unlikely, as long as Kalkenbrenner can stay out of foul trouble, Creighton should always have a scoring option in there, and they can shoot the ball as well, just like Auburn can. So I think we'll see a high-scoring and very competitive game down the stretch. Next up in what should be a very exciting offensive game, we've got two teams that love to fill it up from deep. We've got BYU taking on Wisconsin in the 6 versus 3 matchup. And BYU, guys, they took care of business in their opening round game, polishing off VCU there 80-71. We were on BYU in that game, so thank you BYU Cougars for coming through for us. This team had a great time in the Big 12, finishing 3rd overall with a 14-6 record. They did lose to Houston by 20 there in the conference tournament, so that's a little bit rough, but they came out just fine here in the NCAA tournament, getting that 9-point win over a tough VCU team. A pretty good squad, no doubt about it. BYU didn't play that much defense. They allowed VCU to score 71 points and shoot almost 40% from 3, so that's a bit problematic, but they did win the battle of the boards by 9. That looks pretty good. They had a couple double-digit scores in the starting lineup, one coming off the bench. They shot 35% from 3, which isn't bad either, and yeah, generally speaking, played pretty well. They did an okay job taking care of the ball, only 12 turnovers, and we didn't see anybody go particularly nuts. And this is a team that can have some guys that go nuts. Like, they can put up, there's dudes on this squad. I mean, Richie Saunders, he can light up the scoreboard if given the opportunity. And this team, 30th in the nation in points per game, 80th in rebounding, like not bad there at all. The defense is definitely something of a concern, so we'll see how that looks in this game, but it didn't look terrible against VCU. It didn't look great either. So some concerns there here as they take on a Wisconsin Badgers team that finished the year 27-9 or 27-9 on the year, and they really took care of business against Montana. Their last game of the regular season, they got embarrassed or had an embarrassing performance against Michigan where they just could not throw it in the ocean. Like, it was terrible. We saw John Tanji have a horrible game, probably his worst game of the season. I'd have to look back and check, but might have been his worst game of the season. So against Montana, they were ready to go. And yeah, it wasn't a problem, guys. It was not a problem at all. An 85-66 win. We saw Tanji only scored 15 points. Didn't have to go too crazy out there, but 19 there from Blackwell. We saw Crowell put up 18. As a team, they shot 30% from 3, which not amazing, but they were knocking it down from the free throw line. They owned the boards, out rebounding Montana by 11 or something like that, and they did a good job getting to the free throw line. So we liked a lot of what we saw there from Wisconsin. They did an okay job defending the three-point line. I'm not going to freak out about it, but it was okay. Now, Wisconsin, guys, this is a team that needs to make their shots to win games. Are they going to be able to do that here against BYU? We'll have to see. This is basically a coin flip game. Wisconsin, 1.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 154.5. BYU, 21-13 against the spread, 20-14 to the over. Wisconsin, 23-13 against the spread, 20-16 to the over. I'm going to take the over in this game, guys. I think it's a very reasonable spot. I think we see both teams score in the high 70s or 80s in this game, which will easily get us over that number. And yeah, I think this is a very, very good over spot. Both teams showing trends towards the over. Both struggle a little bit on defense. Both like to shoot it. That's a great, great combination to get you to an overplay. Now, in terms of a side, I'm going to be siding with BYU. Wisconsin's been stumbling here a little bit. I know they were coming off a blowout win, but it was against a pretty bad Montana team. So yeah, I'm not giving them too much credit for that one, guys. I think they're still a little bit on the struggle bus. Tanji not exactly looking like himself, and they need him if they want to beat good teams. I'm going to take BYU here, getting 1.5, and right there next to it, I like the over. Next up, we're looking at the Gonzaga Bulldogs, guys. Number 8 Gonzaga taking on number 1 Houston. The Bulldogs, guys, the Gonzaga Bulldogs, not a team that I was super excited about coming into this tournament, but they come out and absolutely just go nuts against Georgia, a team that didn't show up at all. Absolutely hilariously embarrassing. Like, what was going on there? I have no idea, but Gonzaga, guys, they get off to a 48-27 lead there in the first half in just absolutely insane stuff there from Georgia in the first half of basketball. They played a terrible game in the first half, came back a little bit there in the second half, I guess, but it didn't look great. Gonzaga putting up almost 90 points. They shot the lights out from 3, 60% from long range in that game on 20 attempts. You're not going to see that very often. They dominated the boards. They did all the things you want them to do. 4 double-digit scores in the starting lineup. Battle, guys, put up 24 points out there and shot 4 of 7 from 3. We saw Hickman shoot 5 of 6 from 3. Like, crazy. Absolutely insane stuff from Gonzaga, a team that did not have their accustomed, like the regular season that they're accustomed to. They didn't finish the top of the WCC. They lost to St. Mary's twice. Should have been 3 times if St. Mary's wouldn't have laid an egg. Like, just very, very crazy stuff to see from this Gonzaga team. Not what I would have expected in the opening round. So they get a chance here, but it's going to be a tough, tough chance, guys. They've got to go through number 1, Houston. The Houston Cougars took down SIUE 78-40 in their opening round game. Absolutely a blowout there, which makes sense, guys. This team ran roughshod through the Big 12 this season. Incredible defense from them on a nightly basis. That's how they won their conference tournament. They took down teams like BYU, Arizona, Colorado, so on. This team hasn't lost a game in quite a while since a 1-point loss there against Texas Tech. Like, this squad not in the business of losing games, and they are ready for the tournament. They showed that by coming out so hot there in the first game. And yeah, they played really well on both ends of the floor. I mean, you don't beat a team 78-40 without being committed on both ends. And yeah, they really took it to them. They allowed SIU Edwards to shoot 8.3% from 3. They shot 30% from the field. Houston shot 40% from the field, 35% from 3, and out-rebounded their opponent 50-27. Don't have to dive too much deeper into that, guys. Houston, an absolute monster. So when you start looking at the numbers for this game, I am shocked. I'm fully shocked here. I feel like I must be missing something crazy here. Did Houston's entire starting lineup get hurt and I just didn't hear anything about that? That seems fairly unlikely. The Cougars are 5-point favorites in this game. We've got a total of 139.5. Gonzaga, 15-19 against the spread, 20-13-1 to the over. Houston, 19-16 against the spread, 20-14-1 to the under. I'm sure this is going to be a very chalky, very public play, which does make me a little bit scared, but I cannot in good conscience, like, I wanted to fade Gonzaga in this tournament so bad after what I saw from them in their conference tournament championship game there against St. Mary's. Neither one of those teams looked great to me, and we do see them both advance here in the NCAA tournament, but it wasn't pretty for St. Mary's, and Gonzaga, I don't know what went on there with their opponent. That was pretty wild stuff, but I'm going to be taking Houston here at -5. No way around it. This has a good chance to be a premium play at Stump the Spread. I can't figure out a reason to not do this. I think the Cougars are going to play a very bruising, physical style of defense. I think that's going to throw Gonzaga completely off of their game. The Cougars will get out and play fast. They're the more athletic team. I just think they're the way better team, and I think they probably blow this thing open and win it by 10 to 15 points against a Gonzaga team that's not going to know what hit them. Next up, guys, we're looking at the UCLA Bruins, the number 7 UCLA Bruins taking on number 2 Tennessee. UCLA took care of business there with a blowout win against Utah State. This isn't a team that had a ton of success in the regular season. I mean, I guess they finished things okay, but not necessarily. I mean, they lost by 16 against Wisconsin, so not a great end to their regular season, but going into tournament play, these boys were absolutely ready. Their head coach, a kind of a crazy person, had them very much fired up. The 72-47 win there, so they'll definitely take that. They didn't necessarily dominate the boards, but they just shot the ball way better. They shot 41% from 3. They just play amazing defense, guys. That's what this team does. They don't dominate the boards, but they play incredible defense, and they have some shot making on the squad. I mean, they held Utah State to only 12.9% from 3 and 30% from the field. Bonkers. Great defense. Probably the best defense that we saw in the opening round outside of what Houston did to their 16 seed opponent. Like, the Bruins played great. A couple double-digit scores there in the starting lineup. One coming off the bench. Just good stuff across the board. Like, this is a tough team. The fundamentals are pretty good. The rebounding is always a concern. Don't get me wrong. That's always something that's going to come up. I'm going to be worried about the boards. Anytime UCLA plays. But they're going to play such tough defense that maybe that makes up for it. Not always going to make up for it. There's a reason they lost 10 games in the regular season, but in tournament play, defense is something that you can count on traveling well, and yeah, even if the rebounding doesn't, if you're getting up 65 points per game, you're often going to be in a position to win. Now, they don't have an easy opponent here. They're facing a 2 seed. That's what happens when you're a 7 seed, but they're facing the number 2 Tennessee Volunteers, who couldn't exactly get the job done for us against Wofford. We were on Tennessee. They couldn't cover it. They did win the game 77-62, but it looked a little bit odd out there. Things looked a little bit disjointed. If it wasn't for a huge game there, obviously a very big game there from Chaz Lanier, he put up 29 points and shot 6 of 13 from 3. Like, they needed that to put this game away comfortably, or else Wofford felt like they could actually hang around. They allowed Wofford to shoot 42.3% from 3. Tennessee got the free throw edge in a huge way, which a lot of that goes to their athleticism, all that stuff being much better, but still, I don't know, guys. I was a little bit thrown off by what we saw from Tennessee in that opening round. Now, maybe it was just a little bit of a hiccup. Maybe it wasn't a great game, but it definitely is something that worries me. They were even on the boards against Wofford. Like, I don't know. You need to be a better rebounding team than UCLA if you want to beat them. And Tennessee, over the course of the year, has been better, but not drastically better. And I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about this Tennessee team. It's a squad that I thought I would be very high on here in the tournament, but after that opening round performance, I don't know. I don't know. They didn't really pass the eye test for me there in round one. So looking at them as here as 5.5-point favorites with a total of 132.5. UCLA 19-13-1 against the spread, 18-15 to the under. Tennessee 18-17 against the spread, 19-16 to the under. I honestly want to look at under 132.5 a little bit in this game. That feels crazy because it's not a very big number, but I could see both teams scoring in the 60s in this game, the low 60s even. So maybe not. This isn't a play that underplay is not going in the pin comment, but that's just the way these two teams have made me feel here so far. And obviously UCLA is in for a little bit of shooting regression after a very hot shooting night. So we'll see. In terms of a side, guys, I'm going to be leaning towards UCLA in the points here, but just a little bit. I think Tennessee has way, way more talent on their roster, but this play, I just can't, justify putting either one in the pinned comment. Now, guys, since we're, slowly starting to run out of NCAA tournament games to cover, we're going to hop over. We're going to look at a couple of NIT games. And first up, we've got the Dayton Flyers taking on the Chattanooga Mocs out there in the NIT. We saw Dayton take care of business in their opening round game, winning 86-79 against FAU. There were concerns about whether Dayton really cared about the NIT tournament after, obviously falling short of expectations this season. But they came out, got a 7-point win against FAU. So a decent win there in the first round. Not a dominant one for sure. They shot the ball really well, shot the ball well from the free throw line. Didn't have any dominant performances there on the boards, but we did see Javon Bennett put up 30 points. Yeah, you don't see that every day. 8 of 12 from 3. He's the reason they won this game. So will he be locked in and ready for the next round? I would say there's a good chance. This Dayton team, not as good on the boards and not as good defensively as we're used to seeing them historically, but they've taken a significant step forward there on offense. So we'll see what they do here against Chattanooga, who took care of business, but in an insane game. Huff hit a 3-pointer with 11 seconds left in triple overtime for Chattanooga to knock off Middle Tennessee. That was wild, guys. That was wild. Well, it's quite the game. I hope you tuned in for a little bit of that because that was nuts. Honor Huff has had a great season. This team's been elite offensively all year long. The defensive numbers, maybe not great, and the rebounding, a really big problem. So there's trouble here for Chattanooga, guys. We'll see what we actually get from them in this game. It's not going to be, they could be even tired, honestly, after playing a triple overtime game. Like, probably not. They've had some time to rest and recover, but it is something to take into consideration at least a little bit. This game is a home game there for Chattanooga. That's a big deal for sure. That's why they're only getting 2.5 points here. We've got a total of 150.5. Dayton 16-16 against the spread, 22-10 to the over. Chattanooga 20-13 against the spread, 18-15 to the over as well. Guys, I think this is a great spot to take the over. I'm definitely loving over 150.5. In terms of a side, I maybe lean slightly towards Dayton, although this is a road spot, so I don't love that. But I think the over here is extremely live. I think we see both teams probably score in at least the upper 70s, if not upper 80s in this game. And there you go. You're easily over that 150.5. Last but not least, guys, we've got another second round NIT game. We've got the Bradley Braves taking on the George Mason Patriots. Bradley comes into this one fresh off of their opening round win there over North Alabama. They won that game 71-62. Obviously, Bradley probably pretty disappointed. They had a legitimate shot to, try and knock off Drake, and then came up very short there in the conference tournament championship in the Missouri Valley. So they, rallied and got the win over North Alabama, winning that one by not a super comfortable margin. They shot the ball pretty poorly overall, under 40% from the field, under 30% from three, but didn't even do a great job on the boards either. But they knocked down enough of their free throws and, did just enough to get over the hill in this game. But it was rough. It was rough out there. They did not play particularly sharp basketball, and a lot of the reason they won was because of their defense and because North Alabama shot only 34% from the field and 26% from three. So not an amazing game right there from Bradley, guys, but they do get the win. But that's kind of their style. Like, this isn't a team that's going to put up a ton of points necessarily, but they're going to play some defense. They're going to slow it down when they want to, and they're going to try and grind out a win. Will they be able to do that here against George Mason? Well, the Patriots took care of business comfortably in their opening round NIT game, winning by 17 points against Samford. This team had to be crushed, guys, not making it into the big dance. And watching VCU lose in the opening round probably made that even worse. Jalen Hayes, guys, leads the way for this team. They're a decent offensive team, but not great. A decent rebounding team, but the defense is where they really shine. Although they're coming off a great offensive game there against Samford. So we'll see what they can get done in this one, guys. They're 5.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 132.5. Bradley, 16-17-1 against the spread, a 500 team to the over-under. George Mason, basically a 500 over-under team and a 500 team against the spread as well. But guys, I'm definitely taking George Mason in this one. You can interest me in the under, I guess, but I think the Patriots win this one comfortably because Bradley I just don't feel like they've got the talent to compete in this kind of matchup. They've struggled here. They could have lost their opening round game if their opponent would have played even decent, and I don't think their defense is going to really be able to dominate George Mason like it's done some other teams. So go ahead and give me the Patriots here as a small lean. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. Click the link in the description to get over to stumpthespread.com and check out all of our things we offer over there. And we will see you guys tomorrow for more NCAA tournament action.